go into some marital nonsense. I did want to bring this up on the channel today because it exemplifies the point that I have been trying to make when it comes to this ongoing conversation around modern relationships and the role that personal accountability must play in people understanding why they are in certain situations instead of always looking to blame the other person. This guy, the guy that you see there on our overlay, his name is Simon Gobadia or Gubadia. I'm not exactly sure the correct pronunciation for that, but we'll just go by Simon. Simon is his first name. He's a Nigerian businessman, and he was married to that young lady who you see there. Her name is Porsha Williams. People who watch Real Housewives of Atlanta recognize her because that's her claim to fame: reality television and being on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She married this guy apparently, and now they're divorced. They weren't married very long, and he is having to come out of pocket in lieu of the divorce. And now he's crying foul, blaming her, saying that he feels as though he was targeted for financial reasons, and basically saying it's her fault and he's a victim. That's kind of what's going on here. So we'll go ahead and provide a little context real quick, and then we'll of course let him speak for himself. So this says Porsha Williams' ex-husband Simon absolutely regrets their marriage. I was targeted for financial reasons. Porsha Williams' ex-husband Simon absolutely regrets their short-lived marriage. The Nigerian-born businessman tells Page Six in an exclusive interview. In fact, Simon, who's 61, believes he was targeted for financial reasons by the Real Housewives of Atlanta star, who's 44. I kept asking, why did you file for a divorce? And she wouldn't say anything, Simon tells us, claiming he could not get in touch with her family either. This felt like a coup. I was totally blindsided, he laments, which Williams recently predicted he would feel. After Simon was unsuccessful with reaching any of Williams' loved ones, he admits he sent her a scathing text message that read, "This was a $5 million rehab project that I took on." Williams filed for divorce in February 2024 after 14 months of marriage. She told people earlier this week she had hired an immigration attorney in January 2024 after uncovering complex issues with Simon's legal status, noting that she felt the relationship was headed down a dark road. She said the two had a confrontation on Valentine's Day and that she filed for divorce just over a week later. So I'm going to skip those quotes because I'm going to actually play the video in which he says a lot of this stuff. Less than a week after going from a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility where Simon spent a nightmare 4 months to his homeland, the judge overseeing his divorce from Williams finalized the dissolution of their marriage. Williams emerged victorious as the judge ruled in favor of upholding the terms of the former couple's prenuptial agreement. She'll receive $40,000 a month in alimony for the length of the marriage, which was 14 months. Simon tells us of the $560,000 total. She gets to stay in the marital house in Atlanta, all expenses paid, including the mortgage, for up to 36 months. And if she chooses to own the home, she would have to refinance the property in her name and give me, who's Simon, 50% equity in the home. As his reaction to the ruling, Simon, who has been married 3 times before, says with 1,000% certainty that the decision is going to be appealed. Let's see, is there anything else I want to read here? Williams told people the divorce was particularly difficult for Pilar, PJ, Jenna, 6, but Simon downplays their rapport when the topic comes up during our interview. I don't have a relationship with her daughter, explaining that he chooses to not get close to his romantic partner's kids because there's a tendency for them to use their children to get back at him, to try to come back into his life, and Porsha is no exception. Let's see, what else? There's a part where it talks about who he was previously married to. I'll look for that, but I'll go ahead and exit out of here, and I'll present. I will present this so that we can hear this individual, Mr. Simon, talk about how he feels he was bamboozled by Real Housewife of Atlanta Porsha Williams.
You regret marrying her?
Absolutely. I said to her in one of my text messages to her, because she didn't respond because I kept asking her, why did you file for divorce? And she wouldn't say anything. I tried to reach her mom. Her mom would not respond either. I later figured out this felt like a coup. When you when I don't know if you're familiar with. I'm familiar. I say it because I'm from Nigeria, and that we were ruled at one point by the military, and so every so often when you want to change leadership, the president, you stage a coup.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I was totally blindsided. I was no member of her family, whether on the mother's side or on the father's side, reached out to me. And the only person I actually reached out to was her mom, and she didn't respond. And so I essentially sent her a text message. I said this was a $5 million rehab project that I took on. She never shared her concerns or issues with me before filing for divorce. If you're married, I've been married quite a bit. I think I understand a little bit about the dynamics of. I should understand a little bit about the dynamics of a relationship. You discuss issues and say, "Hey, if this does not change or something does not happen, this is what might come of it."
Mhm.
We never had those discussions, and I'm happy to share with you text messages where I was essentially blindsided by the divorce filing.
I was actually going to ask you if this was something that you saw coming, if conversations had been had prior. What do you think what do you think Portia's reason was to file for divorce?
I think I was targeted.
In what
Um,
way?
I was targeted from day one for financial reasons. When I filed for divorce from my previous, ex-wife, she was in my DM praying for me. And I think I was in a vulnerable position at that time,
Oh,
and I entertained it, and so it just kind of snowballed from there.
Mhm.
Getting engaged in 30 days. I mean, who does that? That was out
exactly.
of my goddamn mind. Who have done that, and of course, I'm paying dearly for it.
Yes, you are, sir. This
Unbelievable.
guy's a bonehead, bro. And for reference, I found what I was looking for. Um, there was a part. There was a part in the article
Mm.
which this is actually not his first rodeo uh, with a real housewife, let alone a reality chick. He was previously married to a woman named Phelan Williams.
Another
Um,
word? Hell no.
no, not Williams. I'm sorry, Phelan. It doesn't say what her. It
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
give her maiden name, so her first name is Phelan. But this Phelan woman is also someone who was on Real Housewives of Atlanta. You can't make this stuff up. Um, so this dude, this repeat Real Housewives of Atlanta offender, is now going, "Woe is me," because he feels like he was targeted for marrying his second Real Housewife of Atlanta, let alone his second reality TV personality. So I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it to tee you up anyway. Uh, do you feel his pain with any of this, sir?
Of course not, man. Of course not, man. I agree with you, man. This guy's a bonehead. Um, he's ripe for the taking. Ladies, I heard that this guy's divorced. Um, you might want to send him a DM with some prayers. Uh, he might marry you in 6 months. Okay. This guy's an idiot, man. Absolute airhead, which actually um, adds credence to the whole fact that just because you got a bag and you a millionaire doesn't necessarily make you a smart person.
Yep.
Um,
Nor
and
nor 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 does it make you somebody. Nor does it make you a man who's good with women too. Clearly.
and nor does it make you somebody that stands on principles, because this guy clearly has none. lusting after housewives, women that are on TV. I mean, you guys saw all those clips of this Porsha lady, those devious eyes and all the things that she's got going on. How could you trust that? What? Yeah, he said, I must have been out of my mind. Yeah, bro, clearly. Anybody. I only would have had to seen pictures of this lady, not even know what kind of life she lived and was on housewife TV shows. I just would have had to see pictures of her and go, you stay away from that. And so, but hey, man, this guy, he loved a game, apparently. So yeah, so this guy here, absolute bonehead. I saw stuff floating online when they initially filed for the divorce. And she was just stunting in his house, bro. Just kicked the man out, just stunting in them, got the whole family over, having barbecues and, you know what I'm saying, just doing the whole nine in a house that he bought, and then just absolutely flexing on this man. And so, yeah, this was a coup, but this is how these type of women operate that look at men as a comeuppance. And so there's a certain type of way they move. There's a certain type of way that they talk, dress, behave. And so she gives off all the telltale signs. And so for him to not be able to detect that, was already married to another one, and then just go ahead and do it again. Yeah, I mean, there's no level of sympathy that I can have for this man or anybody else that finds himself in this position. And even if I were to find myself in this position, as much as I claim that I know, and I end up getting bamboozled and a coup was staged on me, one thing that you won't see me is getting online and complaining about it. Some people got to just learn how to take their L's and grow the hell up. And this is an L. Yeah, everybody saw it. But you running around here saying, woe is me, and sitting there crying and saying that I was blindsided, I was this, I was that. Man, nobody's gonna feel sorry for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Is this a messed up situation? It is. But how messed up do you have to be dealing with somebody like this? And last thing I'll say before I let you go, I think that this Porsha girl was friends with that other girl, which also makes this a extra deviant situation. So this was, it was just, he had eyes on this lady here, apparently. You know what I'm saying? So he thought he was gonna level up in life, I guess. I guess her BBL is bigger, or I don't know what's going on here with this. But I guess he felt like he was gonna level up, but he ended up getting leveled out. So man. Way to go, Mr. Simon. You're the latest version of how to play yourself. But what are your thoughts, man, on this Simon dude running around here crying foul, saying that a coup was staged on him and he was blindsided by all of this? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yep, I don't have anything to add to what you said. All of that is, I'm in agreement with 100%. This is yet another edition in the ongoing Conscious Approach series of where choosing goes wrong and how to not have accountability, which is why I choose to talk about this stuff, because the pathology behind these kinds of decisions needs to be highlighted in order to hopefully help people understand how their particular lot in life is largely due to their own doing. It is not the world's fault. If you're a man, where you are is not because of women. If you're a woman, what you're dealing with is not because of men. It is because of you. Learn how to make better decisions. Learn how to make better choices. You'll find yourself in a different situation. You continue to engage in your own insanity and make the same choices repeatedly. You find yourself in the same situation. That is a you problem. That is not the world's problem. So from that standpoint, I agree with everything that you said. This guy is an absolute clown. He makes all men look bad. It's embarrassing to see a guy in his position who claims to be successful in life on Front Street looking like a cuck, honestly. And furthermore, I will say this, this is why red pill content is something that needs to be vetted. If you're a single guy out there and you're trying to figure out how to navigate the modern dating world, you need to be very cautious with the kind of content that you consume on a regular basis. And the reason why I bring that up is because not all red pill content is there. There is a very fine line between red pill and anti-woman. There's a fine line. And oftentimes with a lot of these content creators and these platforms online that claim to be red pill and claim to be putting men up on game, they're actually anti-woman platforms masquerading as red pill. They're not truly red pill. And the problem that I have with some red pill platforms is guys like this will get onto those platforms and complain about women. And those platforms will never do their due diligence to get into the sordid decisions that certain guys make, which sort of facilitates them being in the position that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy like this Simon guy will get on one of these podcasts or they'll get on one of these shows and they will proceed to blame women for why everything is wrong with the world, not taking into accountability the fact that you have a track record for choosing to seriously date and marry reality TV women, as if those are the only women in the world. So whose fault is that, bro? Is that the world's fault? That's women's fault? Or is that your fault? You could have chosen the litany of the billions of other women out there to get married to. You chose to be with not one, but two reality TV stars. And then you're saying you're the one who was targeted? And then because he's feeling bamboozled, he'll get onto a podcast and he'll be the first person to talk about the things that men need to look out for and how to not trust women. You're the wrong person to listen to, man, because you make poor choices. For real, like you make poor choices. So those are the dangers with consuming a lot of that content, is you never know who's giving the message. And you have to be conscientious of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with a lot of these women who go on their man bashing tirades, talking about how all men do this and all men do that, all men cheat, all men are dogs, all of these men are outside. I was listening to Who Kid. Over the weekend, and Cardi B put out a new single talking about how she outside. And so, she's talking about how she outside and all these men are dogs. You were married to Offset, a guy who's a dog.
Right.
You chose to marry him. Whose fault is that? You didn't know his tendencies before you got with him? But she'll spread her disingenuous gospel through the masses of women who are going to digest that as if it's truthful. And if that's a general, reasonable litmus on how all men behave and operate. No, it isn't. It's a litmus on how the men you deal with operate. So you need to take inventory of the kind of men you deal with if you want to change your situation.
Correct.
Too many people out here don't take accountability for this kind of stuff. They blame everybody else. There's too much projection. And this fool is the next example, the latest example of weak-willed, blue-pilled men who blame women when they're the reason they're in the situation they're in. You didn't learn your first lesson with the first housewife? I don't get it. I don't get it. And look, I am not a white knighter.
You sure about that?
I call everybody out. I hold everybody accountable. But what is starting to really grate my gears, and it's starting to really piss me off, is to see these weirdos, self-righteous morons get on the internet and get on social media to complain about the whims of the opposite sex, as if they have no agency over who they choose to be with and the circumstances that they find themselves in. Pick somebody else, choose differently. But you can't get out of your own way, so you'll continue to make the same decisions. And then you will elect to blame everybody else for your poor decision making. So that is a word to the wise for anybody out there who finds themselves routinely blaming everybody else for their problems, especially when it comes to this relationship stuff, because there's perhaps no form of content that gets greater spins on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram than these relationship platforms. That is getting served up on the algorithm more than anything else, because everybody got an opinion, everybody got something to say, everybody has viewpoints on why they're in the circumstance and the predicament that they're in. And 95% of the time, it's these dudes do this or these women do this. All these guys are outside. Women are for the streets. Don't trust this. Don't trust that. How about you need to trust yourself to make better choices? How about that? But that's not the world that we live in. That's too much nuance, and that makes too much sense for a lot of y'all out there. But what I will say is be wary of the kind of information that you consume. Vet the messenger, because if the messenger is a person like this or somebody like Safari, whose track record suggests this is not the type of person to be taking any sort of relationship insight from, Shannon Sharp, I would suggest that you steer clear of listening to people like that. They ought not to be listened to. You must always take inventory and accountability on yourself first before choosing to blame outwardly.
Yeah, well said, bro. But one thing about it, man, that accountability is something that everybody struggles with. You know, there's a whole thing right now going on TikTok, at least, where they'll air out a woman for not being accountable, rightfully so. But the comments that say 100 women versus accountability, and it's one of those things where it's not just women that are not. Or here comes the white knight. It's not just women that are not being accountable. It's the dudes, and for the reasons that you stated. And I'll go even further. There's a lot of men that are out here that are balancing and doing their thing and holding it down. And I'm not talking about those dudes, but I'm talking about those dudes that you talking about, where they're just out here just upset, just foaming at the mouth like they got rabies. All right. And it's because they have a misconception of what it is to be a man in the first place, of what a man should be getting, what he should be doing first, and to be getting back in return, okay, from said women. All right. And so they have these lofty expectations, no different than a woman, these lofty expectations of what a woman need to be doing for them just because he's a man. And it's just like, okay, bro, just because you're a man don't mean you deserve X, Y, and Z from a woman. Like you gotta walk and step into that energy to receive all of that stuff that you ask him for. But you're not going to get those things by, figuratively speaking, sitting on a couch. Man, you can have a nice paying job, bro, and you're figuratively sitting on a couch. And the reason why I'm going there with it is because, as I mentioned on here on numerous occasions, man, on how society is set up. Now, you like to call it slave culture, what's going on over here in the United States. But a lot of men, even if you have a nice paying job, bro, you are not doing what it means to be a man. You just have a high salary slavery position. And men are equating what they make to what it is to be a man. And much like how I'm about to go there with it, bro. But much like how people talk about the patriarchy and stuff, all right, the patriarchy, it did do a number on men too. Because now they feel entitled to have certain things without actually doing this stuff to make you a man.
Yeah.
And so they're running around here, and that's when you get all of these, soy boys running around here talking about they red pill and that a woman need to cook and clean for him, and he can't do nothing for his damn self. And so you got a lot of that. So that's where you're getting to the point where it's like, hey, and that's what I'm saying. Even if you make a lot of money, perfect example, this dude right here, you know what I'm saying? A millionaire, probably self-made, and he's still an idiot. He still don't know how to be a man.
Still don't get it.
Grown ass man in his 60s.
So, yeah. Yep.
He still don't know how to be a man. So much so that he's running around here chasing after BBL housewives. This man's out of his damn mind. from the motherland of all places too. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter apparently culturally either. You're gonna have to know what it means to be a man, and this guy's not doing it. And a lot of people here in the United States don't know what it means to be a man. So my point is that people need to people got to do research, man. People really got to do some research and study life. By studying life, you're studying yourself. And then by there, you will know what it takes for you to plug those holes in your own life. So those little areas that you was being immature and unaccountable for, you can plug those gaps and be a man. And for the same thing for women. And if you learn who you are and you figure out what's going on, you do some studying, some research. Don't be listening to all these bad bees out here telling you what and what not to do. They ain't got no man. They ain't got no husband. And they will never have one. So do some research. Find out who you are. All of this stuff when we talk about, man, don't follow the masses and all that stuff. This is all of it in one. Mm-hmm. And so men and women. Men need to know what it means to be a man, and women need to know what it means to be a woman. And that's why rates right now, marriage are so low. That's why families are in disarray, because men don't know how to be a man and women don't know how to be women. And right here is a prime example of two knuckleheads. You know what I'm saying? But as you always like to talk about, it's the man that has the key. He holds the key to this marriage thing.
He's the gatekeeper. That's right.
And so he is the biggest idiot, even though they're both idiots. He's the biggest because he's just signed his life away. And honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he do it again.
He can't get out of his own way. That's the thing. He can't get out of his own way. He'll do it again. He will do it again. And when the you know what hits the fan, it'll be her fault. He'll be singing the same tune.
Yeah, cry me a river, bro. You know what I'm saying? Cry me a river, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, I heard you still got millions, bro. I got a bridge I'm trying to sell you, bro. That connects from here to Nigeria, bro. So send me some mills, bro, so we can invest in that.
Hey, look, man, I remember a classic stand-up by Chris Rock back in the 90s. I think it was the 90s, Bigger and Blacker, I think. It was either Bigger and Blacker and Never Scared. Chris Rock was talking about Siegfried and Roy. The tiger bit Roy in the face or something like this, and people was mad at the tiger, and Chris Rock was like, the tiger didn't go crazy. The tiger went tiger. That's what tigers do. They bite you in the face. and the thing about it is, you know, you're dating sex workers, you're dating women who do OnlyFans, you want to date Instagram models, socialites, reality TV stars, industry women. You're trying to turn a feral cat into a house cat. And I mean, the math just doesn't math in that regard. And when that feral cat goes feral on you, you want to get upset as if you did not have a choice in trying to turn that feral cat into a house cat. We all play a role in this situation. We're all responsible. We all make an assortment of choices. There is a dire need for us as people to do a better job of maintaining some self-awareness and hold ourselves accountable for a lot of this stuff. And we are doing a very poor job of that. It's disgusting. So he will do this again because he can't get out of his own way. He is just as insane as a lot of the women who are on the opposite end of the spectrum to him, who can't help themselves but date from a profile the kind of man who offers the complete opposite of stability, but then complain that men don't offer stability. Men do offer stability. You just don't know how to identify the ones who do. And that's a you problem.
Correct.
That is not a man problem. It's ridiculous. And the last thing that I'll say is, you talk about people not knowing how to be a man, how to be a woman, people who've just lost their way. I completely agree. And that's because we have ceded all individual agency to money. Like, I don't joke when I say money is our God now. Money is the thing that we worship. So we have relinquished identifying some of the intrinsic qualities that do make a man and do make a woman. And we've streamlined the process to now, how much do you make?
Right.
How much do you earn? What's
Right.
your income? You're
Right.
not making this much, or you're not manning enough.
Right.
That's what we relegated it to. And that's the problem. So a lot of soy boys who make money drink this Kool-Aid, and they now believe that they are manning at the highest level because of the money they make.
Correct.
And it couldn't be the furthest from the truth. So long as we equate value and self-worth to income and money, which is where we currently are in society, and everybody's doing it, men do it, the women acquiesce to it, we'll continue to lose our way. But convince that to a person like him or her who believe that if you ain't getting to a certain kind of bag, you're actually something that's worth less than a human.
Yeah.
It's sad, but that's where we are with it.
Yeah, man. I mean, just the Diddler trial should prove a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of people that were getting to the bag that was rolling around in that baby oil allegedly with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And hiring escorts named the Punisher. And all of that stuff. And everybody that, not everybody, but a lot of people that were around the Diddler when he was growing up and when he was getting on and stuff, and even when he was already on, he couldn't talk to women. As many women as he's had that he paid for and stuff like that or whatever, he still couldn't talk to them. So you ain't even nowhere close to being a man if you don't know how to talk to a woman. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, no matter what your money or your status is, man, that has nothing to do about who you is as a person. And so this guy found out the cold way. And but yeah, fellas out there, man, if your bank account don't look like these people, don't sell yourself short. Stand on your business, man. You know what it means to be a man, and keep standing in that, and keep preaching that, and keep living by it. These people out here that's all flashy and all this other stuff, man. You see what's going on in their house.
Yeah.
They don't have a clue what the hell's going on. They got cool staged against them. So stand on business, be who you are, man, and don't let these bank accounts define who you are.
Yeah, facts. This guy's an embarrassment to men everywhere. But unfortunately, there's far more where that came from. So it's a sad state of affairs. But I'm gonna continue to bring up these kinds of topics because I think humans in general, but men more specifically, need to understand the value of accountability. It is not the world's fault. People need to take inventory of their own choices.
100.